Good afternoon, guys. Just a quick one today. I just want to talk about my most recent tattoo appointment. So we had done the left side of my the right side of my stomach last week, and this week we did the left side of the stomach. Just kind of connecting everything to the center. So I'll show that off if I can. Okay. So I had this side done and the middle done, and then we just did the left. For whatever reason, the right side hurt a lot more. It was a harder day for me. Sometimes it's just about mindset, how you're coming into it, how you sleep, things like that. But yeah, this was a breeze. Even now, it's very painless, surprisingly. So yeah, that's easy enough heal. The next thing we're going to be doing is, since we've blacked out the underneath here of all these tentacles, the next logical thing to do is, since we've got healing here and healing here, before we go into those areas, we're going to take out this tentacle here that's sitting on top of the eye, because it actually connects to everything down in here. So while we're there, we'll be blacking out my nipples again. Probably, I think that's the 5th time. And there's just a little bit of nipple that's not blacked out on one of them. I can't remember. It's maybe this one. We are going to keep these skulls. The skulls are just going to get reworked by actually a different artist. The same guy who did my chest piece is going to rework these skulls. And he's also going to rework these teeth. I'm going to make the teeth quite a bit darker and look quite a bit sharper, because right now they're looking kind of washed out against all the black and the red of the eye. So I just kind of want to give them some more punch again. So yeah, that's my immediate plans. I'm kind of potentially getting another tattoo appointment this week, if not the Wednesday. Just kind of depends on if my artist finishes early or not. Anyway, yeah. So that's what I've done this week. As I said, it was a really easy appointment. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset. So with tattoos, you can do the same tattoo location twice, and it can feel completely different. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust this camera. It's giving me some weird glare. Weird. Okay, sorry about that. I'm not going to start over because whatever, it's fine. Things happen. My quality's not amazing yet anyway. I'm not too worried about that kind of stuff at this stage, just the vlog anyway. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, talking about tattoo pain mindset. So I think the week prior, part of why it was a little more sore was actually because I didn't sleep as well the night before. I don't think it had anything to do with which side of my body it was on. Some people have asked me if that old thing about what side of your body is closer to the heart. It hurts a little more on that side. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I actually did think that one time, but then I had the same place tattooed on the other side, and it actually hurt more. So it just kind of depends on where you're at pain, mentally, for the appointment. So sometimes I'll get my throat tattooed. Yes, sometimes I'll get my throat tattooed, is something I could say, because I've had mine done, I think, 7 times throughout the course of my history with tattooing. Sometimes it's a way worse experience than others, and I have the only thing I can think of for that is just the way you come into it, did you sleep well? Were you stressed? Were you anxious? Did you build it up in your head? Different things like that. Did I eat well? Was I hydrated? And just stuff like that. It all plays a factor. It's really complicated why tattoos hurt the way they do, because sometimes they don't. If you're like me and you've had multiple spots done several times, you probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, anyway, it was a really easy appointment, and I wasn't unhappy about that. This below my chest here, this one, is going to be likewise pretty easy. I find this area really, really easy to sit for. The only thing that's going to be painful about that is the nipples are always fun, and I'm not really dreading anything else about it. I am on the fence about whether I'm keeping this eye or this crescent moon. People seem to really love the crescent moon, so I don't know if I want to get rid of that, but no one really seems to care about the goat's eye that I've got here, and I'm not really that big of a fan of it myself. It was just kind of something that we had the space for something, but not much, so we did that. And going forward, I'm probably going to be getting rid of this guy here, and the Lacrimosa tattoo. She's a German gothic metal band. Most people don't know what this little guy means. It's finally time for him to get going, I think. I've still got this rose here to black out, and this one to touch up the blackout on. What else? Spawn. He's probably going to be the last thing to go, but it is likely that he's going to go eventually. And lots of people really like the Spawn tattoo, but as this carries out, more and more I'm just wanting it to be about the eye and the chest piece. Some people seem to think that I'm going to be blacking out the chest too, even though I say I'm not. It's probably one of the nicest pieces I've ever had done, and I just don't see myself parting with it. But again, I didn't see myself parting with Spawn, and I'm starting to think that he has to go now too. So who knows where this is going in the end. I've seen some really cool scarification and white ink tattoos recently that have made me wonder about those avenues. So yeah, lots of possibilities once all the blackout is done. And it's looking like I'm going to get there on my torso anyway within the next month and a half. So be tuned for be sure to stay tuned for all the progress, because there's going to be a lot. My artist is actually on vacation starting next week, but he's coming in for my appointments, and I'll probably get some extra ones in too. So we're going to be chopping at this thing pretty fast, I think, faster than usual. I posted a picture of myself, my old suit today on Instagram when I was all red and traditional neo-trad inspired stuff. All the roses and the tentacles and everything were still there. And lots of people, I was kind of wondering what people would say. I wasn't really that concerned with it, but the feedback wasn't as negative as I thought it would be. I was expecting a lot of people to say the obvious stuff like, "What are you, crazy to black that up?" Blah, 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 like all the stuff that people have been saying. But surprisingly, no. Like, people mostly said they liked this direction and my old direction, I did that post, though, today to kind of better convey a message that I've been trying to get across to people. And I'm probably going to be trying to get that message across to people forever, because people who just take a glance at me with all my black tattoos probably assume that I hated everything I had, or it was all crappy work and I just had that to do because I had messed up so much I had no other option. I'm going to reiterate this again. It had nothing to do with disliking my work that I had. I loved the work that I had. It was beautiful work. It was a true tattoo collector's suit. It had a little bit of everything in there. I had a black arm upon completion of my last suit. So there was a bit of black work in there. There was a bit of traditional. There's neo-traditional. There's black and gray, and all kinds of custom stuff. Like, my whole torso is very custom. There's just tons of stuff going on in there, and it really did look like an accomplished collector's suit. But as my tastes have changed, I've really wanted less clutter and a more cohesive kind of piece. And I've started to really enjoy like big tattoos, like Japanese bodysuits, or like some trash polka bodysuits, where it's one concept. And that's kind of the direction I want to be going in now myself, and black work is a really appealing way to do that for me. Not just because it's an easy way out, but I actually just really like the pure black, and the fact that if there's problems in the saturation or problems in the work, you'll see it. So it has to be consistent, it has to be smooth, or else you'll see it, right? Like, there's no errors in my work up here anymore, and I've made damn sure about that. I've still got some stuff to iron out on my arms, and my stomach is going to need a couple passes too. But when I'm done, it's going to look clean, matte black. You will see that there's no errors in that work. I will keep touching it up as I have to keep it that way. I believe pure heavy saturation is the most pure form of tattooing, whether that means full color or full black, just because it needs to technically all be in there with no flaws, or you'll see the flaws in a piece like that. So that's just a little rant about that, and the reason I posted that picture. I did want to see what the response would be, but it wasn't gonna shatter my feelings if people revolted and you looked so much better before. No, I was just kind of gauging what people thought. It's always nice to have the feedback. I actually like hearing feedback, even though it doesn't usually matter much to the conclusion I reach. But it is nice to hear what people think. I definitely enjoy the support and the criticism and the feedback, just the whole thing. It's valuable to me. But what I did get from that picture, because I happened to be completely bald during that photo, was something that I've been tossing around in my head anyway. I recently put up a poll on my Instagram asking people if they like me better bald or with hair, well, this hairstyle in particular, or whatever. And most people said bald. It was like 56% to 44% or something in the end, which is a huge number because there was hundreds of people that voted. So the gulf was quite large between those who preferred me bald or with hair. And obviously, popular say doesn't always decide because I still have my hair, but I'm still not sold. I still kind of miss being bald sometimes. You know, you get a good gust of wind and you blows your hair all over the place. It's like, well, I could just shave all this off and not worry about any of it. And you know, I've got a full head piece. Like the whole head is covered. There's barely any negative space left on my head. And there's just little gaps between tattoos that I'll probably fill at some point. But it is appealing. I'm not sure what I want to do with it because I like being bald, but I hate having that like the bald growth, like when it starts growing in, when you're waiting to grow your hair out again, when you've had enough of being bald, it seems to take forever to get your hair back. And, you know, there's always the debate about it. Like, I could go bald one day and not be able to grow hair. So maybe I should have hair while I can. But people seem to prefer me with bald. I had people commenting more about how good I looked bald than about the difference in tattoos, which was very surprising. You know, people are like, oh, you look like a beast like that. Oh, the skinhead look suits you, like stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know what I want to do with that. Part of me wants to be bald for my own reasons, and it seems like people prefer me that way. Maybe comment and let me know what you think if you're watching this far in. If you didn't give up at some point along the way from my ranting. Yeah, just comment and let me know if you would like to see me bald. Or if you think that's crazy and people are insane. Seems like it's a split decision on it for most people, but I kind of prefer myself that way sometimes. So it could just end up happening. So anyway, let me know what you think. And let me know what you think of my newly blacked out stomach too. I'm pretty satisfied that we have the stomach done because when I was getting it done the first time, lined in all the tentacles and shaded and stuff like that, I really hated working on my stomach. It wasn't because it was so painful. It's just because it's like a solid 8 out of 10 the whole way. Where with places like your back, you have, you know, like a solid 5 or a 6 the whole way with moments that really suck. Your whole kind of stomach area is all pretty painful. Like, you don't really get a chance to really get a breather. So it's tiring. And I was working on those tentacles for 6 months, week after week after week. And I mean 6 months. Every week we did a little more. You know, line one more, shade some more. Then you got to go back and darken it because half of it fell out. And it was just a nightmare. And even when we were done, it still wasn't finished. You could still see some of the lines weren't connected completely, and some of the shading was falling out, and parts just weren't finished, and it was just a nightmare. So when people ask me, why the tentacles? Why? Well, if you were to get up close on them, you'd see the problems I seen. It was always, even from the day I was finished them, I was like, this isn't over. I'm going to have to go back into this. And in the end, it just didn't seem like it was worth the hassle of keeping them. And I didn't even know how much they would contribute to the piece if they were fixed, if it would be better that way, or if it would be better solid black. That's anyone's guess. But they were riddled with problems. Like, they weren't like my roses up here. Those were really visible. Those were super saturated. I had those roses done 2 and 3 times, so the red was really in there. So getting those out was really hard. We had to do multiple passes on my shoulders and throat. But those tentacles were barely in there. They were really just barely in there, and so it was really easy to cover them. And I'd argue that those had more reason to get blacked out than the roses ever did. So it was always something that made sense to me, that if I'm going to black this stuff out, it makes sense that we would black that out, because, as I said, the roses were nicer done and I think more visually appealing too. So anyway, I don't want to ramble too much more, and this has been quite a bit longer than I even expected. So I'm just going to call it now. But you guys have a good weekend, and if you like these videos, be sure to share them, and follow me at Ephemeral Remy on Instagram. See you later.